This is a game that is happening between one team that is, winning because you can tell that they're hungry for it. They're currently top of the Egyptian Premier League. They've made it this far in this competition. They're so hungry to get there. They've willed themselves to a semi-final. And on the other hand, you have Orlando Pirates, who frankly for me, get here because of experience. Experience of playing knockout football. Experience of playing games of consequence. Experience of, how do I win and win ugly or win beautiful, but end up with trophies. Jose Rivero has 5 trophies in 2.5 years. He could go and win the Nedbank Cup. He's still in the hunt for the league. You can still speak about the Champions League. So that's what's so great. But what's interesting about the semi-finals this year is that these 2 semi-finals couldn't be more different. On this side, you have, tried and tested. Mamelodi Sundowns, Ahly, teams that are considered to be the best. One is the best trophy-wise, one is the best play-wise. And it's an old head match. And this one is 2 teams that have been surprise packages to everybody. So it almost balances out that they meet against each other. And what's going to be very interesting is the approaches that the teams take when going into Egypt for the second leg. Think about it. Pyramids, like I said, doesn't play sort of the type of football that you'd expect from the North. The North is very tactical. It's very cautious. It's very defensive. It's very, I'm going to wait for you to make a mistake for me to take advantage of that mistake, even if it means it's 1 goal. Look at the history. It's 1 goal, I sit back. Here comes Pyramids, who actually want to play, who actually want to put the ball on the floor, who have a little bit of an open lean to their game. Now, they go to Egypt, and what everybody expects is that there's a home ground advantage. But the other part of this is that Pyramids doesn't necessarily have a home ground advantage. They don't have that many fans in Europe. It's not in Egypt. It's not a big team. So all of the things that all of the other teams, your Wydad's, your Al Ahly's, your Esperances can lean on when bringing visitors in, they can't necessarily play that game. But they do have a dynamic way of playing, and they have that Fiston Maela up front who wasn't super active in the game that they played versus Pirates in the first leg, but you know that he's somebody that the defense has to think about. When you look at Pirates, Pirates has gone through an evolution this season where Orlando Pirates is playing winning football. Orlando Pirates, bar for bar, has been one of the most entertaining teams to watch. When you speak about an entertaining, transitioning, wing play team, you speak about Orlando Pirates. But all of that entertaining, expressive, Mabasa had 15 goals last year in the league. All of that entertaining, expressive, all of that has not been able to give them the big trophies, the league, the Champions League, the CAF Confed Cup, where they were in the final just a couple of years ago, right? Hasn't been able to give them that. And it's almost like Coach Jose, in his final season, has thought to himself, I need to instill something different in this team. And up to this point, unbeaten in the Champions League, up to this point, there's been games where a lot of people have been disappointed with the fact that Pirates is not playing this beautiful football. But what they have been doing is winning. And they've been winning because, as I say, Pirates is the biggest big game team in South Africa. There's no team that respects a tie like Orlando Pirates. And when I mean respect, it means that you don't go out gung-ho. You don't go out and start running all over the place. Sometimes it's about being defensively solid, being boring, and getting the 1 goal. Think about the Nedbank Cup final. Think about some of the games that they've played up to this point. And then when the other team opens up, you go and take advantage of them. But Orlando Pirates has had its troubles. On the one side, you have a defense that is incredible. I think Mbogazi has been an incredible find. I think Usibisi has put his hand up as one of the best players in the season for Orlando Pirates. I think you have cameos from guys like Bomako, who have done well defensively. You have cameos from different players that have come into that defense. Pirates has had so many defensive injuries. It's actually crazy that they're here up to this point. So when you look at the defense, I think they're a little bit solid. You might want to take advantage of Van Rooyen if I was to go for somebody. Not to say that he's a bad player, but if I was to attack someone, I'd probably go Van Rooyen's side more than anything. But that defensive four with the goalkeeper has been incredibly strong. You've had other standout performers like Dion Hotto, who is the Swiss Army knife that Rivero deploys everywhere. Sometimes he left wing, other times he's covering the right back on the other side. Sometimes he's playing his left back position. He has been a very big key. But like I've been saying about Orlando Pirates for a while, I think Pirates struggles with playing the ball up. I think Mbata and Makaula are a midfield that maybe defensively they're great, but in terms of progressing the ball, that has been a little bit of an issue. In terms of being able to take it from defense and give it to a player who then turns around and gives it to Tito or gives it to the front player so that they can come together and play, I think there's been a little bit of a break there. Okay, so I know I stopped the video a lot and a lot of you are wondering, why are you asking for money? So I wanted to show you. I asked for money because I want to do more of this. Huh? But the truth of the matter is that it took over an hour in order just to render that shot. And it takes even longer when I'm doing my normal content because, guys, here's the unsung hero of the channel. And unfortunately, Shem, but the screen is broken. I have to use a second screen and the performance is not up to it. So I'd really love to upgrade things like that. And when you look over here, this is what the setup looks like. Rehenga di patlo and rehenga di green screen, which is a reality of being a South African content creator. Also, this is what people think is my studio. It's actually my house. So if you still don't know that I'm doing all of this from my home, then I don't know. But that is essentially what I want to do. More of these cool things. But I need you guys to please help me out by donating 50 Rand or more into this account. You know, we're fighting for multi-choice. And for multi-choice, but there is subscription models all over the place. And I'd love to give the biggest quality while also being able to pay my rent and do things like that. That is where your money is going. And I promise to give you only the best content that I can if you do throw something in. So I just wanted to show you guys what I want to do with your money. I want to take this South African football and fulfill my dream of taking it into the future. But thank you guys so much. Remember, this is the bank account that you deposit into. Get back into the video. For Orlando Pirates, and maybe they're missing a player that can do that. You can't necessarily trust Abondlondo to do that. Musele hasn't been trusted. And Abombata tend to hide. Makaula, you can't fault him because I think he's the strong man of the midfield. He's the guy that has to make the tough tackles, has to cover the defense, has to go back, has to do the not so sexy work. But what has happened is that now Pirates has lost that ability to get the ball up to Bomfukeng in a time where, or in a way where Abomfukeng will be in one-on-one situations with ball on feet. And if you can't go up the middle, you have to go up the sides. And we've seen Abo Van Rooyen playing their roles. We've seen Abo Hotto playing their roles. But I don't think the front guys know where to go. Utito, as incredible as he is, I think he gets a little bit lost. And what has happened is that in the beginning of the season, I don't know if this was the plan, but it felt as though Utito was being converted almost into sort of an 8, sometimes even deeper to a 6, but sort of an 8, with Mfukeng coming into the 10. And to end off this season, Pirates has been trying to revert back to having Mfukeng out wide with Utito as a 10, but because everything is so deep, they have to come back in. And when you're deep like that and you can't play the ball out, what tends to happen is that you start playing long balls. You think about the long balls that Mbogazi has to play. You think about the long balls that become 50-50s because it's in the air and you're expecting Aborile to fight with people, Abonkota to fight with big defenders, and it hasn't been working out. One of the fixes that has helped Orlando Pirates has been bringing in Makgopa. Now, a lot of people don't trust Makgopa, don't get Makgopa, don't understand why he plays. There's some things I don't personally understand, like when he goes out wide and he's drifting. I don't understand that. But if there's one thing that Makgopa allows you, is that when he moves, he creates a vacuum, a space where Abomfukeng Nabonkota can be more direct. In fact, when Pirates was playing incredibly well earlier in the season, scoring for fun, it was that thing of Makgopa dropping back in, and even Abombata pushing past him to create the overloads when facing the defenders, right? So that has been something. But the issue then becomes, how does Tito work with Makgopa, work with Mfukeng? Tito can work with Mfukeng. We saw that last season. When they do that left-hand side overload, sometimes assisted by Hoto, they have an understanding, the two of them, and they tend to play better there. But when you bring in Makgopa and you also bring in this factor of Mfukeng becoming a central player, I think they crowd each other in the center there up top. Makgopa's dropping back in, Tito's coming in, Mfukeng is coming in. One of the things that Jose has done to fix that at times was he took out Mfukeng a couple of games ago, and then he had Tito have at least the option of going into that space, escaping Makgopa. And Makgopa gives you, like I said again, that ability to drag at defense and allow Abo Tito to get shots, to drag at defense and allow space for Abo Mfukeng. I think that's going to be key in this game. I think that if it's not broken, don't fix it. But you need to be a lot better when in possession, Orlando Pirates. You have to be a lot better when you get the ball. So defend. For those who watch the show for a very long time, you know that Pyramids, open game, they're going to try to put you under pressure. But the moment you win that ball back, you have to know where to go. And it's incredible that Pirates knows where to go when it's hot. When you had CR Peluisdad, and Peluisdad has put you under immense pressure, and they're pushing to try get a goal. Pirates knows how to emerge from that. Okay, you guys are going to be reckless. Then we're going to allow Mfukeng to get the ball and face people 1v1. So it's interesting to watch them in a normal game where they play a disciplined team. They sort of fall away, Abomfukeng, Nabonkota. So for me, play the way you were playing. Absorb as much as you can. Try to push that game into Boma 60th minute. And I think that's where the game will fall apart. Very, very African football-like. That's where the game will fall apart. I think Pyramids, as a home team, yes, you have an advantage at times, but there comes a time where that thing gets flipped. And you start looking at the clock, and you start remembering the away goals, and you start having to push and try get as many chances, players in, doing all of that stuff. And that is where Pirates is going to be amazing. So for me, start with Makgopa. Have him be the guy that, wins the first ball. That's going to be very important, I think, in this game. You're not going to be able to play through Pyramids like as easily as you would. But if you can play the Hugo Bruce ball of kicking the ball up and allowing Makgopa to do what he's strong at. He's good at winning the first ball. He's good at being a physical presence for the defenders. He's good at flicking on the ball. He's good at putting the ball down to allow the other guys to play. It's almost like you cheat. You cheat. Right? So like I said, the long balls from Pirates, normally without Makgopa, fall to players that don't have that skill set. But if you can cheat and play a long ball centrally most of the time, and Makgopa can win that ball for Tito, can win that ball from Mfukeng, now you've cheated and you've gotten into the final third for the boys to play, for Mfukeng to come alive, right? It's what Hugo Bruce does when he plays Makgopa with Zwane and Percy and all of those guys. Play the long ball, Makgopa wins it. Now you are in the attacking third. Now Bomshishi can go to work, right, without having to physically win a high ball themselves. Then in the second half, I would then bring in Umabasa just for the breakdown. I think in breakdown situations, there isn't a better striker in the league than Umabasa. Those situations where everything is gone, now balls are dropping into the box, defenders are out of position, Mabasa tends to thrive in those situations. So I think it's going to be a very, very interesting game that Pirates is going to play. I personally, and I don't know if it's South African bias, but I personally want to give the edge to Pirates because Pirates has played more games of consequence in terms of semi-finals, finals, and won those games of consequence more than. And remember, they've played versus Mamelodi Sundowns. They've played versus other teams where they've just needed sometimes patience, sometimes you need to go 100, 120. This one's going to be more of a patience game. And if I trust anybody to win a knockout game, it's the biggest big game team in South Africa, Orlando Pirates. So I'm going to say Pirates is going to edge it 1-0, if not a 1-1. Pyramids is going to try their level best to try and do something there. And much of the game is going to hinge on who scores first. If Pirates scores first, the tie is done. If Pyramid scores first, I think it becomes a little bit tougher for Pirates, especially if that Pyramids team decides then, okay, we've been open, we're going to close it. So very, very interesting matchups that we have coming up, and I hope that Orlando Pirates can win this game and Sundowns can win their game and give us an All-South African final, make history. But we will see what's going to happen. I'll see you guys on the next one.